The first time my mother-in-law called my life's work just cute little doodles, I smiled and swallowed my pride. That was 8 years ago. Tonight, as I sit at her immaculate dining table, watching her perfectly manicured fingers tap against crystal stemware, she's saying it again. I'm Robin, and I illustrate children's books. Not just coloring books or simple drawings, but entire worlds that spark imagination in young minds. Not that Susan would understand the difference. Really, Robin dear, when are you going to pursue something more substantial? Susan's voice drips with the same sweetness she uses on waitstaff before sending back a perfectly good meal. Ashton tells me you spend hours in that little studio of yours. My husband Ashton shifts uncomfortably beside me, suddenly very interested in his roasted duck. I catch his father Greg smirking behind his wine glass. My work is substantial, I say quietly, pushing peas around my plate. I'm actually working on a new series. Oh, speaking of substantial, Greg interrupts. Did you see the new Rothko we acquired? Cost more than your annual salary, I'd imagine. He chuckles, and Ashton joins in reflexively. I feel my phone vibrate in my lap. Probably Milena checking in. She's been my best friend since art school, and she's the only one who truly understands what these dinners do to me. I'd love to see it. I lie, standing up. Excuse me, I need to use the restroom. In the powder room's pristine silence, I check my phone. But it's not Milena, it's Ethan, my publisher. My hands shake as I read his message. Call me now. Harrison Steele News. Harrison Steele, the animation director who turned down Disney to make independent films. The man who won 3 Oscars for transforming a simple graphic novel into a cultural phenomenon. I slip out onto the terrace, heart pounding, and dial Ethan's number. Robin! He's practically shouting. He loves it. He fucking loves your book series. The whole thing. He wants to direct. My legs go weak. I grab the railing for support. What? The studio's ready to go all in. We're talking franchise potential. Multiple films, merchandise, everything. Inside, I can hear Susan's tinkling laugh, probably at another joke at my expense. But for the first time, it doesn't sting. How soon can we announce? I ask, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. That's the best part, Ethan says. There's a major industry event next month. Harrison wants to do it there. Big splash. No, I say, an idea forming. I know exactly where to make this announcement. Robin? Ashton's voice carries through the terrace doors. Mother's serving dessert. Coming! I call back, then whisper into the phone. Ethan, my father-in-law has a gallery opening next week. The biggest of the year. Every critic, collector, and artist who matters will be there. You're deliciously evil, Ethan laughs. I'm in. Send me the details. I walk back to the dining room, where Susan is serving her famous crème brûlée. She eyes me suspiciously. Everything all right, dear? You were gone quite a while. Perfect, I say, smiling genuinely for the first time all evening. Everything's absolutely perfect. Well, Greg announces, swirling his cognac. Speaking of perfect, we'd love to see you both at the gallery opening next Thursday. It's going to be the event of the season. Ashton squeezes my hand under the table, his way of begging me to play nice. We wouldn't miss it, I say. Wonderful! Susan claps her hands. And Robin, dear, do wear something appropriate this time. Last event you looked rather artistic. I take a bite of the crème brûlée, savor its sweetness. Don't worry, Susan. I promise you this time everyone will be talking about my appearance. Later that night, as Ashton drives us home, He tries to apologize. They mean well, you know. They just don't understand your world. I stare out the window, watching the city lights blur past. My phone buzzes again. This time it is Milena. How bad was it? I type back. Actually, it was inspiring. Call you tomorrow. Big news. You're smiling, Ashton notes, surprised. Did something good happen at dinner? I think about the contract sitting in my email, the one I signed last week, about Harrison Steele and my characters coming to life on the big screen, about the look that will be on Greg and Susan's faces when they realize exactly what my little doodles are worth. Just thinking about art, I say softly, and how sometimes the best masterpieces take years to complete. You're bringing who as your +1? Milena nearly spits out her coffee across my kitchen counter. It's Saturday morning, 3 days before the gallery opening, and I've just shared my plan. Ethan, I repeat, enjoying her reaction. My publisher, though we'll introduce him as my agent. Your in-laws are going to lose their minds. She grabs her phone, scrolling frantically. Wait, have you seen this? The event program leaked online. I lean over her shoulder to look, and my blood runs cold. There, listed among the featured exhibitions, Little Doodles, a study in modern naivete. That can't be. My voice trails off as Milena enlarges the image. Those bastards. What are they planning? She asks, but I'm already dialing Ashton's number. He picks up on the third ring. Hey, honey, I'm at the gallery helping Dad. What's Little Doodles? I cut him off. Silence. Then, oh, that. It's just a small installation. Nothing major. Don't lie to me, Ashton. What are your parents planning? More silence. In the background, I hear Greg's voice. Is that Robin? Tell her we're looking forward to her attendance. I have to go. Ashton mumbles. We'll talk tonight. The line goes dead. Milena puts her hand on my shoulder. Maybe it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I grab my car keys. Come on, we're going shopping. At the boutique, I head straight for the evening wear section. If they want to make a show of this, I'll give them a show. Robin, Milena says, following me through the racks. What exactly are you planning? I pull out a deep crimson dress, sleek and sophisticated. They've spent years treating my art like a joke. Now they're going to publicly mock me at the biggest gallery event of the year. I hold the dress up to myself in the mirror. So, I'm going to let them, and then I'm going to destroy them. The Harrison Steele announcement, Milena whispers. Oh my God, my phone buzzes, a text from Ethan. Got the press release ready. Rachel Norris from Art Forum confirmed attendance. You sure about this? Absolutely, I text back. That evening, Ashton comes home late, smelling of expensive whiskey. Robin, we need to talk. I'm at my drawing table, finishing touches on a character design. About the exhibition? He runs his hands through his hair, a nervous habit. It's just Dad being Dad. You know how he gets about modern art installations. What exactly is he installing, Ashton? He won't meet my eyes. Some sketches. Look, I tried to talk him out of it, but... Some sketches? I stand up slowly. You mean my sketches? From my private sketchbook? His silence is all the confirmation I need. How did he get them? Hope. He starts, referring to his sister. She might have borrowed your sketchbook last time she visited. The betrayal hits like a physical blow. And you knew about this? Not until today! I swear! He reaches for me, but I step back. Robin, please, it's just Dad's way of what? Humiliating me, making sure everyone knows what he thinks of my work. You could stay home, he suggests weakly. Say you're sick. I laugh, and it sounds hollow even to my ears. No, I'll be there. In fact, I pick up my phone, showing him Ethan's contact. I'm bringing a date. A date? His face flushes. What do you mean a date? My agent, I say smoothly. You'll love him. He has excellent timing. Robin. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight. I gather my sketchbook and supplies. And Ashton, tell your father I'm looking forward to seeing my work on display. I'm sure it will be quite revealing. As I close the guest room door, I text Ethan. Change of plans. Make it bigger. I want every major art publication there. His response comes quickly. Harrison agreed to send a video message. This is going to be nuclear. I pull out the red dress I bought, hanging it carefully on the door. 3 days. 3 days until the gallery opening. 3 days until Greg and Susan learn exactly what my little doodles are worth. My phone buzzes one last time. Milena. You okay? I text back. No, but I will be. After Thursday, everything changes. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about karma and consequences and the perfect shade of red. Sometimes revenge doesn't need to be loud or violent. Sometimes it just needs to be true. The gallery buzzes with expensive perfume and even more expensive opinions. I stand at the entrance, Ethan's arm linked through mine, watching Susan air kiss her way through the crowd. The red dress hugs my curves exactly as planned, and I've traded my usual messy bun for sleek, straight hair. Ready? Ethan whispers. Not yet. I scan the room. I want to see it first. We move through the gallery like water, accepting champagne from passing waiters. The walls are lined with the usual suspects, abstract expressions worth millions, modernist sculptures that look like twisted metal. Then I see it, and my glass nearly slips from my fingers. An entire wall. They've dedicated an entire wall to my private sketches, blown up to massive proportions. Character studies, rough drafts, personal drawings I'd done of Ashton sleeping, all exposed under harsh gallery lighting. Above them, in pretentious gold lettering, little doodles, the childish dreams of amateur art. Those absolute fuckers! Ethan breathes. Robin! Susan's voice cuts through my shock. Don't you look different? Her eyes rake over my dress, searching for something to criticize. And who is this? Ethan Perkins. He extends his hand smoothly. Robin's agent. Susan's perfectly plucked eyebrows rise. Agent? For coloring books? For the artist whose work you've so interestingly displayed. Ethan gestures to the wall, though I don't recall signing off on this exhibition. Before Susan can respond, Greg appears, champagne in hand. Robin, enjoying the spotlight. How did you get these? I ask quietly. Hope was kind enough to share them. Greg smirks. She thought the art world would benefit from seeing the process behind children's illustration. Raw, unfiltered, almost primitive in its simplicity. I spot Hope across the room, hovering near a potted plant, unable to meet my eyes. And what does Ashton think about this? I ask. Think about what? My husband materializes beside his father, already slightly drunk. His eyes widen at my dress, then narrow at Ethan's proximity. Your wife's debut at a serious gallery, Greg says. Finally, some real exposure. Critics and collectors are gathering now, pointing at my sketches, whispering behind manicured hands. I recognize Rachel Norris, the Art Forum journalist, scribbling furiously in her notebook. "I need air," I mutter, turning away. "Robin, wait!" Ashton starts, but I'm already pushing through the crowd toward the terrace. Outside, the night air hits my face like a slap. 8 years of condescension, of subtle jabs and not-so-subtle mockery, all culminating in this public humiliation. I grip the railing, breathing deeply. "Mrs. Price?" A small voice behind me. I turn to find a young woman, maybe early 20s, clutching a worn copy of my first book. "I'm sorry to bother you, but my daughter falls asleep every night with this book. Your dragons. They helped her through her father leaving." I touch the book gently. It's one of my earliest works, before I developed my current style. "What's her name?" "Lily. She wants to be an artist, like you." "Tell her!" My voice catches. "Tell her to never let anyone call her dreams childish." The woman nods, understanding in her eyes, and slips back inside. I follow, my resolve hardening with each step. Greg is holding court near my wall of shame, wineglass gesturing at my most personal sketches. Notice the amateur line work, the lack of proper perspective. This is what passes for professional illustration these days. "Actually," Rachel Norris pipes up, "I find the emotional rawness quite compelling. The dragon's eyes especially. There's a depth there that speaks to—" "My dear," Greg interrupts, "this is hardly the venue for discussing cartoon animals." I feel Ethan's presence beside me before I see him. "Everything's ready," he whispers. "Harrison's video is cued. Press is in position. Say the word." I watch Greg laugh at my dreams one last time. Watch Susan simper at her art world friends. Watch Ashton stand silently by, neither defending nor attacking. "Do it," I say. Ethan squeezes my hand and disappears toward the small stage where a microphone stands ready. In moments he'll transform this night from my humiliation to their downfall. Rachel catches my eye across the room and nods slightly. She knows what's coming. We made sure of that. Her article is already written, waiting for this moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ethan's voice cuts through the chatter. "If I could have your attention, please. There's something about these little doodles that you really should know." Greg's face darkens as he turns toward the stage. Susan freezes mid-conversation. And Ashton, my husband, my supposed partner, finally looks afraid. "Good. Who exactly are you?" Greg's voice carries across the suddenly quiet gallery as he strides toward the stage. "This is a private event, and I don't recall—" "As I was saying," Ethan continues smoothly, "my name is Ethan Perkins, and I represent the artist whose work you've all been discussing tonight." Susan's hand closes around my arm like a vice. "Robin, what is this?" I shake her off, moving closer to the stage. The crowd parts around me, whispers following in my wake. "While you've all been examining these preliminary sketches," Ethan gestures to my wall, "you might be interested to know what they became. Perhaps we should ask Harrison Steele what he thinks of them." The massive screen behind him flickers to life. Harrison's familiar bearded face fills the frame, and I hear several gasps of recognition. "Is that—" Greg starts. "Hello, everyone." Harrison's deep voice resonates through the gallery speakers. "I'm speaking to you from my studio in Los Angeles, where we're currently in pre-production on what I believe will be the most significant animated film of the decade." The crowd shifts, phones appearing in hands. Rachel Norris has positioned herself perfectly between my in-laws and the screen, her camera ready. These characters, Harrison continues as concept art begins sliding across the screen. These worlds that Robin has created, they're not just little doodles. They're the foundation of what we project to be a multi-film franchise. The studio has committed 9 figures to bringing her vision to life. The silence in the gallery is deafening. I watch Greg's face drain of color as my finished artwork appears on screen. The same dragons and creatures he'd mocked, now rendered in stunning detail. "Robin," Ashton whispers beside me, "why didn't you tell me?" "Like you told me about the sketches," I reply, not taking my eyes off the screen. Harrison is still speaking. "We expect this to redefine children's animation. The merchandising rights alone." He chuckles. "Well, let's just say those amateur drawings are worth more than most of the art on these walls." Susan sways slightly, grabbing a nearby sculpture for support. The artist who created it shoots her a dirty look. "Robin!" Greg's voice has lost its condescending edge, replaced by something closer to panic. "Perhaps we should discuss this in private. I'm sure we can come to some arrangement." "Some arrangement?" I turn to face him fully. "Like when I brought you my portfolio 5 years ago, and you said I should stick to greeting cards? Or when you told the Guggenheim curator I was just your son's wife who doodles?" The crowd is openly recording now. Rachel's pen hasn't stopped moving. "I tried!" My voice carries in the hushed room. "For 8 years, I tried to earn your respect. You could have been part of this. Instead, you stole my private sketches and tried to humiliate me." "That's not—" Hope steps forward, tears in her eyes. "I didn't know they would—" "Save it." I hold up my hand. "The time for apologies was before you handed over my sketchbook." On screen, Harrison is showing the first animated test footage. My characters move with fluid grace, their eyes holding all the emotion Greg claimed they lacked. The gathered critics lean forward, their expressions shifting from disdain to intense interest. "Mrs. Price," Rachel approaches with her recorder, "would you care to comment on—" "It's Ms. Evans," I correct her, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I never took my husband's name, and yes, I'll comment." I see Ashton flinch at that, but for once, I don't care about sparing his feelings. "These sketches," I gesture to the wall, "were stolen from my private sketchbook and displayed without permission. They represent years of work, development, and personal artistry that certain people—" I look directly at Greg, dismissed as childish, but art isn't about the frame you put it in or the price tag you attach. It's about moving people, touching hearts, creating worlds. The young woman from earlier, the one with my book, starts applauding. Others join in. Greg and Susan stand frozen, their carefully curated evening shattering around them. Ethan returns to my side, grinning. "Ready for phase 2? I nod, taking the microphone he offers. The weight of it feels right in my hand, like a sword of truth. "Ladies and gentlemen," I say, "since we're all here to appreciate art, I'd like to show you what those little doodles have become. Ethan, would you do the honors?" He pulls out a tablet, and with one tap, the entire gallery fills with light. On every screen, on every wall, my world comes to life in glorious animation. And in that moment, watching my dragons soar over the heads of the stunned art elite, I finally feel free. The animation plays on every screen, and the gallery erupts in chaos. Phones flash like strobe lights as people rush to capture the moment. Rachel Norris is live tweeting furiously, her fingers flying across her phone screen. The studio estimates opening weekend projections at... Ethan pauses for effect. 70 million domestic. A prominent art critic drops his wine glass. It shatters on the marble floor, but nobody notices. That's impossible. Greg steps forward, his face red. This is ridiculous. You can't just... Can't just what, Dad? I ask sweetly. Can't succeed without your approval. Can't make art that matters because it's not hanging in your precious gallery. Now see here, Susan intervenes, her society smile cracking. We've always supported. You've always tolerated, I correct her. There's a difference. Ashton finally finds his voice. Robin, you're making a scene. No, honey. I turn to him. Your family made the scene when they stole my work and tried to humiliate me. I'm just providing the finale. The animation continues playing, my characters dancing across the screens, their stories unfolding in vibrant colour. I notice several gallery patrons drifting away from the serious art to watch, mesmerised. Ms. Evans. Rachel approaches again. Sources say Harrison Steele turned down 3 major studios to work on your project. Can you comment on that? Before I can answer, Greg attempts damage control. Obviously, we've been nurturing Robin's talent for years. As her father-in-law and a respected art dealer, I've personally mentored. That's a lie! A new voice cuts in. Hope steps forward, wringing her hands. Dad, we've been horrible to her. All of us. She turns to me. I'm so sorry, Robin. I gave them your sketchbook because they promised they'd finally take your work seriously. I never thought... Hope! Susan hisses. Not now, but Hope continues, her voice growing stronger. No, Mom. Robin's amazing. I've watched her work for hours, creating these worlds while we mocked her. I was jealous, okay? Jealous that she had this gift and didn't need our family's approval to be successful. The gathered crowd murmurs. Rachel's pen scratches across her notepad. Perhaps, Greg tries again, we could discuss this as a family. Oh, now we're family? I laugh. Now that Harrison Steele is involved? Now that there's money and prestige attached to my little doodles? Ethan steps forward, tablet in hand. Speaking of money, the merchandising deals just came through. Should I announce the numbers? Don't you dare! Susan snaps. 7 figures, Ethan says anyway. Just for the initial toy line. The young woman with my book pushes forward. Will there be more books? My daughter, she's been reading the same one over and over. A new series launches next month. I tell her warmly. Tell Lily to watch for dragons. This is absurd! Ashton suddenly explodes. Robin, you're my wife! You should have told me about all this. Like you told me about the sketches? I face him. Like you've told me about anything your family has planned over the years. Face it, Ashton. You've never stood up for me. Not once. The truth hangs in the air between us, heavy and final. I think. Ethan checks his watch. The press embargo lifts in about 30 seconds. Shall we head outside? There might be a few photographers waiting. Greg lunges forward, grabbing my arm. Now, listen here. Take your hand off my client. Ethan's voice turns to steel. Unless you'd like to add assault to the theft of intellectual property. Greg releases me as if burned. Susan's perfect makeup can't hide her fury. Hope looks simultaneously terrified and relieved. And Ashton just stands there, caught between worlds, saying nothing. Ms. Evans? Rachel gestures to the gallery entrance. They're ready for you. I smooth my red dress and head for the door. Behind me, I hear the distinctive sound of Susan Price fainting dead away onto a $5 million sculpture. "Robin!" Ashton calls out weakly. "Where are you going?" I turn back one last time, taking in the scene. My sketches on the wall, my animation playing on the screens, my in-laws in disarray, and my husband, looking lost in his own gallery. "I'm going to greet my public," I say simply. "Feel free to watch from the windows. I know how much your family enjoys watching others succeed." As Ethan and I push through the gallery doors into a sea of camera flashes, I hear Hope's voice rise above the chaos. "Mom, get up. People are recording. The morning after the gallery opening, my face is splashed across every major art and entertainment website. "Children's book artist turns gallery, humiliation into triumph," reads one headline. "Animation industry's new queen," declares another. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since I left the gallery. I've ignored most calls, but when Milena's name flashes, I answer. "You absolute legend!" she screams. "I just watched the video. Someone recorded the whole thing." "What video?" "It's everywhere. The moment when your father-in-law tried to take credit and you just destroyed him. People are calling it the gallery takedown." A knock at my hotel room door interrupts us. "Hold on," I tell Milena. Through the peephole, I see Hope standing in the hallway, clutching what looks like my sketchbook. I open the door. "Can I come in?" she asks quietly. I step aside, letting her enter. "Milena, I'll call you back." Hope looks terrible, mascara smeared, designer outfit wrinkled. She holds out my sketchbook like a peace offering. "I'm so sorry," she whispers. "I really am. I thought if they saw how good you were." "They'd what? Finally accept me? After 8 years?" She sinks into an armchair. "Mom's furious. She had to be sedated last night. Dad's lawyers are trying to figure out if they can sue you for something. Anything." "Let them try," I say. "I have the studio's legal team now. And Ashton, is he still drinking?" She nods. "He keeps saying he didn't know. About the sketches, about the movie deal, about any of it." "He didn't know because he never asked," I say. 8 years of marriage, and he never once asked about my dreams." Hope pulls something from her bag. A tablet. "I want to show you something." She opens a social media app and starts reading comments. "My daughter wants to be an artist, and this woman just showed her how to stand up to bullies. I cried watching her animation. Those dragons are everything my inner child needed." Rich art snobs tried to shame her, and she showed them what real art can do. My throat tightens. "There are thousands like this," Hope says. "You're trending. People are pre-ordering your books. The animation preview has millions of views." "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I was wrong. We were all wrong." She stands up. "And because I want a job." "Excuse me? I have a marketing degree. I'm good at social media. Really good. And She takes a deep breath. "I want to help promote your work, the right way this time." Before I can respond, my phone rings. It's Ethan. "Turn on entertainment news," he says without greeting. "Now." I grab the TV remote. Greg's face fills the screen, standing behind a podium outside his gallery. "Proud to announce that our gallery will be hosting a proper exhibition of Robin's work," he's saying smoothly. As her father-in-law and longtime mentor, I switch off the TV. "Is he serious?" "He's desperate," Hope says. "The art world is mocking him. His biggest clients saw him try to humiliate a soon-to-be major player in entertainment. He's trying to save face. My phone pings with a text from Rachel. Need your comment on Greg's press conference. Also, Art Forum wants to do a cover story. What are you going to do? Hope asks. I look at my sketchbook, at the dreams they tried to steal and shame. Then I look at Hope, seeing real regret in her eyes. Call your father, I tell her. Tell him I'll do the exhibition. What? Hope and Ethan say simultaneously. But, I continue, I choose the pieces. I control the narrative, and you publicly admit what you did with my sketchbook. He'll never agree, Hope says. Then I do an exclusive with Rachel, telling everything, including how you got the sketches. Hope's phone rings. It's Greg. She answers on speaker. Hope? Is she with you? Will she agree to the exhibition? I'm here, I say. And yes, under my conditions. Anything, he says quickly. Too quickly. We're family, after all. No, Greg, we're not family. We're business associates now, and I'm the one with the power. Silence on the line. Then, what are your terms? I lay them out, watching Hope's eyes widen with each demand. When I finish, the silence stretches. Well, I ask. I'll have the contracts drawn up, he says stiffly. After he hangs up, Hope stares at me. That was business, I say. Now, about that job application. She straightens. I have a portfolio ready. Good. Because this is just the beginning. I pick up my sketchbook, running my fingers over its worn cover. And this time, we're doing it my way. We need to talk, Ashton says, standing in the doorway of my temporary office at the gallery. It's been 2 weeks since the opening, and I'm preparing for my legitimate exhibition. About what? I don't look up from the storyboard I'm reviewing. The divorce papers my lawyer sent, or the fact that your father just had to publicly apologize for stealing my work? Both. Neither. He steps inside, closing the door. Everything. Robin, this isn't you. Now I do look up. Isn't it? How would you know? Because I'm your husband. Are you? I set down my pencil. When was the last time you asked about my work? Really asked, not just nodded along while thinking about your father's gallery? He slumps into a chair. I thought you were happy. No. You thought I was content. There's a difference. I stand up, walking to the window overlooking the gallery floor where Hope is directing the installation of my new pieces. You know what Harrison Steele said when he first saw my work? Ashton shakes his head. He said, "This isn't just art, it's truth. 8 years I've been drawing these stories, and a stranger saw what my own husband couldn't." I see it now, he says quietly. Because everyone else does. I turn back to him. Because now it has value in your world. That's not fair. No? Where were you when your father mocked my portfolio? When your mother told dinner guests I was playing with crayons? When your sister stole my private sketches? I didn't know. You didn't want to know. My voice rises. You wanted a wife who would fit into your family's world, who would smile at gallery openings and accept being patronized. Well, congratulations. Now I'm the star of your father's gallery, and you can't handle it. A knock at the door interrupts us. Rachel enters with her notebook. Sorry, am I early for the interview? No, I say. Ashton was just leaving. Robin, please. He stands up. We can fix this. Fix what? My success? The fact that I'm finally being respected in your precious art world? Our marriage. Rachel quietly takes out her recorder. There's nothing to fix, I say. You chose your side years ago. Every time you stayed silent, every time you laughed at their jokes about my little hobby, every time you put their approval above my dignity. I love you, he says desperately. No. You love who you thought I was, the quiet wife who would never outshine the Price family legacy. Hope appears in the doorway. The Harrison Steele video conference is in 5 minutes. I'll be right there. I gather my materials. Rachel, shall we do the interview in the main gallery? I'd like to show you the new installation. Robin! Ashton tries one last time. What about us? I pause at the door. There is no us anymore. There's just me, the real me, the one you never bothered to know. In the main gallery, Hope has transformed the space. My artwork fills the walls. Not stolen sketches this time, but finished pieces. Character studies, world designs, the full evolution of my vision. Above them all, a massive screen plays the latest animation test footage. Beautiful work, Rachel comments, setting up her recorder. Your sister-in-law has quite an eye for presentation. Soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law, I correct her. And yes, she does. Speaking of family. Rachel leans in. How do you respond to critics who say you're being vindictive, using your success to punish the Prices? I'm not punishing anyone, I say, watching Hope adjust the lighting on a particularly detailed dragon illustration. I'm finally claiming my space. They chose to make it a battlefield. My phone buzzes. A text from Ethan. Studio wants to fast-track production. Harrison's sending over new contract details. Ms. Evans? A small voice interrupts. A young girl stands nearby, clutching my first book. Are you really making movies about your dragons? I kneel down to her level. What's your name? Lily. I smile, recognizing her from her mother's description at the gallery opening. Yes, Lily. And would you like to see something special? I pull out my sketchbook, my new one, not the stolen one, and show her a fresh drawing. This dragon doesn't have a name yet. Would you like to help me choose one? Her eyes light up as Rachel snaps a photo. This, I tell Rachel, watching Lily trace the dragon's outline with wonder. This is what it was always about. Not galleries or contracts or family approval. Just magic, shared with those who can see it. Above us, on the screen, my dragons soar free. The premiere screening room buzzes with anticipation. Harrison sits beside me, his legendary beard now streaked with more grey after months of intense production. On my other side, Milena squeezes my hand as the lights dim. Ready? She whispers. Before I can answer, the screen explodes with colour. My dragons, now fully animated, fully alive, soar across a sunset sky. The score swells, and I hear gasps from the audience. That's my dragon! Lily's voice carries from somewhere behind me. She's here with her mother as my special guests, along with several other young artists I've been mentoring. The story unfolds, not just the one I wrote, but the one I lived. A tale of art and belief, of standing up to those who would dim your light. I watch my characters face their fears, claim their power, and rise above the shadows that once held them down. Halfway through, Hope leans forward from the row behind me. The merchandising team is going crazy. Pre-orders are through the roof. Shh, Harrison grins. Watch this next scene. Robin fought hard for it. On screen, a young artist confronts a gallery of sneering critics. But instead of shrinking away, She transforms their mockery into wings. The sequence we spent months perfecting, the one the studio initially called too personal. "That's you," Milena whispers. "That's all of us," I whisper back. The final scene approaches, the one I rewrote 12 times until it felt true. As the credits roll, the audience erupts in applause. Lights fade up, and I turn to see tears on faces, phones already lighting up with social media posts. "Ms. Evans!" Rachel appears, notebook in hand. "The critics are calling it revolutionary. How does it feel?" Before I can answer, a commotion at the door draws everyone's attention. Greg and Susan stand there, looking uncomfortable in casual clothes, so different from their usual gallery attire. "We weren't invited," Susan says quickly, "but we wanted to see." "Actually," Hope steps forward, "I invited them. I hope that's okay." I study their faces. No trace of the old condescension, just something that looks almost like regret. "What did you think?" I ask quietly. Greg clears his throat. It's extraordinary, Robin. True art." "Now you see it?" "We should have seen it years ago," Susan admits. "We were wrong." "Yes," I say simply. "You were." Lily runs up, clutching her movie poster. "Ms. Robin, the dragon we named together, she was perfect!" I kneel down to her level, aware of my former in-laws watching. "Want to know a secret? She's going to have an even bigger adventure in the sequel." "There's a sequel?" Multiple voices ask simultaneously. Harrison chuckles. "The studio greenlit it this morning. Robin's got a 3-picture deal now." "Plus the book series," Ethan adds, appearing with contracts in hand. "And the international rights just sold." I stand up, facing Greg and Susan. "I don't need your approval anymore. I never did. But if you'd like to see real art being made, the studio tour is open to the public. Tuesday afternoons." They nod, understanding the olive branch for what it is. "Robin!" Milena calls. "Harrison wants to show you something." At the front of the screening room, Harrison projects a new image. Concept art for the sequel, but with a twist. Young artists working together, creating worlds, supporting each other's dreams. "Your story inspired this," he says. "Not just the dragons, but the truth behind them. We're starting an arts education program, teaching kids that their creativity matters." "Using my little doodles?" I ask, smiling. "Using your masterpieces," he corrects. Lily tugs at my sleeve. "Can I join? I want to make dragons too." "Of course you can." I look around the room, at Hope managing social media on 3 devices, at Milena sketching new character designs, at Rachel documenting it all, at the young artists clutching their portfolios with fresh hope, even at Greg and Susan, learning too late, but learning nonetheless. "That's what art does," I tell Lily. "It creates spaces where everyone can fly. The screen behind us fills with dragons soaring through star-filled skies, their wings spread wide, their eyes full of fire and freedom. Just like the ones I used to draw in my stolen sketchbook, but now they belong to everyone who needs them." I pull out my new sketchbook, the one no one can take away, and hand Lily a pencil. "Ready to create some magic?" She nods eagerly, and we begin to draw.